Ah, the monkey! The monkey! It's gonna get me! Ah, the monkey! Hey guys, it's Brian. Welcome to the awards contender. I have indeed seen The Monkey, the new Stephen King adaptation directed by Osgood Perkins, who made Longlegs last year. And I was hearing really good things about this movie. Like, when the first social media reactions came out, I went, oh, okay. This could be pretty good. I'm always in search for a great Stephen King adaptation. He is my favorite author. I've read pretty much everything of his. The novels, the short stories. I am a huge Stephen King fan, but many of the adaptations, for whatever reason, don't work. There's really only a handful, going back decades, that I love. So yeah, I was like, man, could this be one of the new great Stephen King movies? That would be awesome. And I went in really excited. And, I reviewed Wolfman for you last month. I'm a huge horror fan, and that movie really did not work for me at all. I was feeling good about The Monkey. I was ready for a great time. And no, sorry guys. I have to be honest on here, and I have to tell you that this movie did very much underwhelm me. It disappointed me. There are a few good things in it. I'm going to talk to you about the things that work, the things that don't work in The Monkey. And it's too bad because there is a really terrific film in there somewhere. There was possibility. There was potential here for something great. But yeah, it never really comes together. And Osgood Perkins, even though he has a lot of talent and a lot of promise, I personally am still waiting for his first truly excellent film. I liked Longlegs last year. I didn't love it. I mean, boy, did that marketing team do their job, because Longlegs was kind of on my radar. And then it came out, and I was hearing good things, but then I just kept seeing all of these reactions saying it's terrifying. One of the most original films of the year, and blah, 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 blah. And I finally, after a week or two, I was like, okay, I have to see Longlegs. It's supposed to be terrifying. And outside of a couple moments in the first half hour, in terms of its scare factor, I didn't take too much away from Longlegs. I enjoyed the Nicolas Cage performance, and there were some surprises along the way, but I only gave Longlegs a 6 out of 10. I didn't love that movie. So if you really, really loved Longlegs, maybe you'll like The Monkey more than I did. There are a lot of people who are really taken with The Monkey, giving it an 8 out of 10 or higher. In some ways, I feel like I might be an anomaly here. But, I'm a huge Stephen King fan, a huge horror fan, and I went in with certain expectations. I thought this was going to be really, really good, and it didn't quite work for me. Let me give you the plot summary, just the basic idea of this film. It's pretty simple. Basically, the movie takes place, I would say the first half or so of the movie takes place in the late 1990s. These two young twins, they're 13, 14 years old. Their father has passed away, and they find in his closet this giant toy monkey that was in a box, and it's got a key on the back that they can twist. And whenever you twist this key on the back of the monkey, somebody dies. It's not always the person you think it's going to be, but you twist that key, and it's over for somebody nearby, someone in their lives. And so the first half of The Monkey is all about the people dying around these two teenagers and how that affects them. They've got bullies at school, and the main character, he's really having a tough go. And then at a certain point, we flash forward 25 years to the adult versions of the twin boys, and we see what their lives are like now, how the monkey affected them. They thought they got rid of the monkey, but if you've seen one other movie in your lifetime, the monkey is going to come back and cause even more havoc on their lives, and there's gonna be a lot more brutal killing all the way to the end. I mean, here's the thing with The Monkey. It's not scary. If you're going in expecting a really scary horror film, that's not what you're getting with this movie. It's much sillier and funnier than Longlegs, I would say, which also had a dark sense of humor. But that movie also had a real eerie vibe to it that even if it wasn't like scaring you, it was a little creepy at times. The monkey is so over the top. From the very first scene, like, you're never going to be scared by this film. Really, the only thing eerie about the monkey is a few select shots of the monkey in darkness. That's about it. Like a couple close-ups, a couple close-ups of the toy work pretty well. But yeah, this is more like darkly funny, over-the-top humor throughout. Very gruesome and gory. If you love like really over-the-top crazy kill scenes, you might like this. I mean, there's at least 8 to 10, I would say, where your jaw kind of drops and you're like, what did I just watch? What just happened? This isn't a terrible movie. This is very much a mixed review. Like, this is a much better film, I would say, than Wolfman, at least by a little bit. I mean, I found Wolfman last month pretty dull at times, especially in the second half. There weren't too many surprises in the narrative of Wolfman, whereas I would say in the third act of The Monkey, which I won't reveal to you, there were a couple surprises. I was like, oh, that's where we're going with this character. That's what's ultimately going to happen to him. There were a couple things where I was like, oh, okay, interesting. I do give this movie some points for pulling off an adaptation of a Stephen King short story. Like it's one thing to adapt one of his novels or even one of his novellas, like The Mist, right? The Mist was kind of a short novella that was turned into that great film by Frank Darabont. To actually take one of his short stories and make a 90+ minute movie out of it, like, that's hard. That's really tricky. So in that regard, I kind of admired elements of The Monkey. This isn't a really, really bad film. I walked out kind of shrugging my shoulders. I wasn't that taken with it. And I really don't think once this movie's out and everybody's flocking into the theater to watch it, I do think there is going to be a sense of disappointment among many viewers, especially those of you who are going in for like a scary time, because that's not what this is. And even though the dark humor sometimes works okay, I didn't think it was that effective there either. But before I get into what really doesn't work in The Monkey, let me talk for a couple minutes about like what I think does work, like what I thought worked really well. The best part of this movie, I would say, is the opening 30 to 40 minutes. I like the coming-of-age material in the first half. It reminded me at times of Stand By Me, of It's. One of the best adaptations of Stephen King's work of the last 20 years, I would say easily. 2017's It's. It does have that flavor at times, and like there's bullies at school, and, there's this kid you can root for, relate to, who's just really having a tough time without a father, with a bully for a twin brother, too, which is like, Jesus, this guy doesn't catch a break, man. And as, like, the monkey is starting to be used and a couple select people are being killed off, you're like, oh man, like what ultimately is this kid going to do with the monkey? Is he going to try to kill everybody in his life? So I did like this part of the film, set in the 90s. It captures that time period really well. The performances are really strong. And for about a half hour, I was like, man, this could be a 7, maybe an 8 out of 10. I'm really enjoying this. It's got a nice rhythm to it. There is this one kill scene at a restaurant, which is fantastic. It's the best kill scene of the movie, and it's in like the opening 10 minutes. It's great. I don't think anything else in the movie comes close to that kill scene. It's very surprising and shocking and really well done. I actually think The Monkey would have been a much better film if the entire narrative was set during this coming-of-age part in 1999. If we were with that main character at a young age for all 90 minutes, I do think the movie would be better. That's what I personally think. Once we go forward 25 years and we have to introduce a lot of new characters, a lot of new situations, and this is like halfway through the movie, Like, that does weigh the narrative down a lot, and the rhythm is gone, and it's hard to kind of get the momentum back. I don't know if anyone else felt that way about the second half of The Monkey, but I did. I mean, all throughout the movie, there's some pretty good kill scenes. Like, there's some like, I was like, oh my god. There's this one with a woman running out of her house, I'll just say, where I was like, oh my god. Like, what did this woman do to deserve that? It's like, Jesus. And the other thing that does work really well in The Monkey is the monkey. Like, the look of the monkey is fantastic. We get lots of really eerie shots where it's like in the corner of a room, where it's like it's shadowed to the point where you can only see its eyes. Whenever we have a slow push-in on the monkey and you know it's ready to start its tap, 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 and you know someone's gonna die, those parts of the movie work pretty well, even toward the end. Again, there was promise here. Like, with that opening 30-40 minutes, with the look of the monkey, the creativity of the kill scenes, like, this could have been really great. The narrative just, it takes this shift in the second half and never fully recovers. And by the end, I just didn't care anymore. And it wasn't funny. It wasn't scary. When it ended, I just was like, okay, you know. I do think the movie overall needed to have better pacing. It kind of like starts and stops all the way through the 90 minutes. Like, there'll be like a fun, gory kill scene. And then there's a long scene of dialogue. And then the monkey kill scene, something funny happens, back to dialogue, and like it never finds a really good rhythm, especially after the first half hour. You're just kind of like waiting for the next kill, and you know it's going to be crazy. The movie loses the element of surprise pretty early on, I would say, and I do think blending like the different tones, like the humor and the fear factor and the gore, it never quite comes together. I never got the sense that I was in fully good hands. Like, Osgood Perkins, again, is very talented, but I think we needed to have a better balance here of humor and horror, the kind we got in another upcoming neon horror film, Together, starring Alison Brie and Dave Franco, which I just saw at Sundance. That's a film that's very funny at times, extremely scary at other moments, and that has rising stakes and really good pacing all the way to the crazy final 5 minutes. That is an example, I think, of a truly great 2025 horror film you all will get to see when it comes out on August 1st. You know, I mean, compared to Together, The Monkey does fall short in a variety of ways, especially in the second half. Here's another problem with this film. The kill scenes are so bonkers over the top that after a while, you do get kind of numb to the kills. Like, you don't really get to know any of these characters very well. And then they don't just die. Like, for the most part, people explode. There is this moment where a shotgun goes off and a woman explodes into like 100 pieces. And first off, like, at this point in the film, we've come to expect these over-the-top kills. But then I'm also sitting there thinking, like that wouldn't happen. like a shotgun goes off, like, you know, it would hit the person. They wouldn't blow up, you know. So it's not realistic in that sense. So it's like you're looking at Looney Tunes at a certain point, you know. Like, there's nothing like tangible, nothing that makes like logical sense to these kills. So it's almost like we're like not on planet Earth after a while. And so that did get kind of tiresome for me. I mean, some people are really gonna love that. And I'm all for like really crazy out there kills in a horror film. I mean, that's great. I mean, The Evil Dead is one of my favorite movies. And that movie is just one crazy kill moment after another. But I think in The Monkey, Osgood Perkins needed to rein this in a little bit. It didn't have to be like fully realistic, but it gets so over the top after a while. I'm just like, what am I watching here? Like, what is this? And another big flaw to the film, I'm sorry to say, is the casting of Theo James as the older version of the teenager we come to know in the first half of the movie. Theo James can be a wonderful actor. He was great in season 2 of The White Lotus. But here, I mean, I can't be the only one who thought this. He is so frickin' gorgeous. He is so handsome that for him to play this like dorky guy who doesn't have any friends, who's like estranged from his wife and his kid, like I never really bought into it. He's okay. Like he was good enough. I kind of went with it, but I'm like, I felt like there were 30 other actors who could have played that role better. And then Theo James also plays the older twin brother, and it never really works. I was like, okay, for this movie to fully succeed, like that casting was kind of crucial for the second half. And I just never really bought into it. I don't know if other people are going to feel that way. Again, Theo James is a good actor, and I've liked him in other things, but I do think he was miscast in a way in this. I mean, he looks nothing like the actors who play the younger versions. And sometimes that bothers me, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm like, you're telling me that 13-year-old boy grew up to be Theo James? No. Like, Elijah Wood has one scene in this movie, and he's great, and I'm like, these roles should have been flipped. Like, Elijah Wood should have played the older twins, and Theo James should have played the Elijah Wood role. I can't be the only one who thought that. I was like, that's what should have happened. Like, Elijah Wood much more resembles the actors who play the younger versions. So there was that too. And so, yeah, ultimately, this was a missed opportunity. Like, there is a story in there that I like and that could have made a really compelling 90-minute horror film. Again, I think we should have stayed with the younger versions of the characters for the entire movie. I do think this film would have been more successful overall if it had been like all like the first It movie and not so much like It Chapter 2. I don't know. But that's just me. It's not a terrible time at the movies. Like, I'm glad I saw it once. It's not like, it's not one of the worst films of the year or anything. I enjoyed certain aspects of it. I was never really bored in The Monkey, It's 90 minutes. It goes down easy. Every time things get kind of slow, there's a big wacky kill moment and you're like, whoa. And so, it works on that level okay, I guess. Now, as I get to the end of this review, I thought I would start something right now that I haven't really done before. At the end of reviews of new movies, I'm going to give you this little segment. If I could give this movie one Oscar nomination, what would it be? Like, if I had to give The Monkey one Oscar nod, what category would it be? Who would be nominated? So going back to my Wolfman review last month, obviously that one would be makeup and hairstyling. Like the makeup job in that movie is pretty good. So I guess I would give Wolfman best makeup and hairstyling. What would I give The Monkey? If I had to give it one Oscar nomination, it's actually for a performance I have not even mentioned in this review until now. I would give Tatiana Maslany a nomination for Best Supporting Actress. There it is. Maslany plays the mother of the two teenage twin boys. She is great in this movie. She's got two moments that are freaking fantastic. I think she's such a great actress. I mean, going back to Orphan Black and so many things, like she always makes a project better. Like she can take kind of a one-note character. It is kind of one note in The Monkey. She's just playing the mom, but she's very funny, very self-critical. She's starting to go on dates with men and has some things to say about that. This moment in a church is really effective. This moment where she's just sitting with her kids outside and and telling them about the realities of life. I mean, I thought that was maybe the best scene in the whole movie. It's very Stephen King. It's very good. And then, boy, we have this flash of her about halfway through the movie that is the scariest thing in The Monkey. She, I think, gives the best performance in the movie. And if you're going to see The Monkey, watch out for that Tatiana Maslany performance. I wish she was in more of this one. So yeah, there's things I like about Osgood Perkins' The Monkey, the latest Stephen King adaptation. It's not a waste of time. It's not boring. There are things to admire in this one. But ultimately, I did walk away kind of mixed. I don't think it's as good as Longlegs. It's definitely not as good as It's from 2017. This is a so-so Stephen King adaptation, not the worst way to spend 90 minutes, but it could have been so much better. I give The Monkey a 5 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and let me know in the comments below, are you going to see The Monkey? If you have seen it, what was your take? Do you think it was better than I gave it credit for? We'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.